Good evening. Welcome to VTV News. I'm Sophie Jeong.
And I'm Randle in for Diana Charlotte. Vanderbilt released a statement this past Monday announcing that both Tennessee State's band and Vanderbilt's band will be allowed to perform at Vandy's homecoming game on October 2nd. After Vanderbilt announced Tennessee's band would be taking the place of Vanderbilt's band during the anticipated halftime show, an online petition was created and quickly gained over 4,000 signatures. The petition pressured the administration to change their decision. The Vanderbilt band will now be allowed to play during halftime as well as star in their own show before the game.
Vanderbilt's coaches mural is getting an update. A public campaign has raised enough money to update the iconic mural of Vanderbilt's coaches. The painting has been on the side of the building at West End and 28th Avenue since 1992. Local artist Michael Cooper has always been responsible for painting the murals. He confirmed that $5,050 has been raised through a GoFundMe campaign to update the wall. Cooper will replace the former men's and women's basketball coaches with paintings of the current ones, Bryce Drew and Stephanie White. He says the process will take about 2 days.
A recent college graduate is literally walking and talking his way across the country. His message is simple. So VTV News' Sophie Jeong caught up with him as he passed through Nashville.
It's not every day a man walks from D.C. to L.A.
It's about a year and a half ago, and I started to notice that the way that we interact and the way that we communicate as a society is drastically changed in the last 20 years. I thought that if there was some way that I could go on a journey or something that would grab people's attention and then use that journey as a vehicle for this message.
To spread his message about in-person communication, Andrews is walking over 3,000 miles.
I remember one man that I was staying with this farmer from South Carolina, and I was staying by a lake. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and I was in my tent, and he came back, with this crazy southern drawl and just in his overalls, just sits right on the floor outside of my tent and is like, Chris, I don't think we talked about everything you wanted to, and then we just started talking about my message because he was so considerate to think about, what I was trying to get out of this experience. I hope to just start the conversation and hope that conversation starts to move the needle on the way we perceive the value of a face-to-face conversation.
Andrew's next stop is Memphis and hopes to arrive in Los Angeles by March 1st.
Thanks, Sophie.
Gun control proved to be a heated topic not just for the vice presidential debate. The Vanderbilt College Republicans and Vanderbilt College Democrats held its first debate of the semester on gun control. Despite disagreement, members of each party sustained a respectable nature while working towards commonality. The new audience involvement format increased the number of speakers from 2 to 12, allowing for more ideas on gun control to be heard. The debate was the first of 4 to be held this semester. The next is scheduled for Thursday, October 20th.
Highland Avenue is getting a makeover. Part of Highland Avenue will be closed due to construction near the Engineering and Science Building beginning Monday, October 10th. Traffic on Highland Avenue will also be reduced to 1 lane. The construction plan involves a new bus stop and pull-off on the Highland Avenue side of the 25th Avenue garage. The project is to be finalized before Vanderbilt's homecoming on October 22nd.
Humans of New York founder visited Vanderbilt.
This past Tuesday night, Humans of New York founder Brandon Stanton visited Vanderbilt to speak about his world-famous photo project. Students gathered in the Langford Auditorium for a reception before sitting down to hear Stanton explain how Humans of New York got started. Many Vanderbilt students cite Stanton's work as an inspiration to them.
I'm here because I've seen the work online before and I'm really inspired by it. He's been doing it for a long time, and while it started off really small, over however many years he's been doing it now, it's grown to have such a wide impact, and he's really passionate about what he does, and I want to hear about that.
At the event, Hidden Doors and the Vanderbilt Programming Board displayed the Humans of Vanderbilt project, which applied the concept of Stanton's work to Vanderbilt's campus. The result was a thoughtful and inspiring glimpse into the diverse lives of Vandy students.
A fellow has come to Vanderbilt's campus. Vanderbilt University Theater has started performing Othello last Friday at Neely Auditorium. This is VUT's first production for the 2016-2017 season. More shows will be performed at 8 p.m. today, tomorrow, and Saturday. Tickets are $7 for Vanderbilt graduate students and free for undergraduates with a Vandy ID. Now for this week's sports news, here's VTV News sports correspondent Andrew Sundaram.
Good evening. I'm Andrew Sundaram in for Madison Foglio, and this is the weekly sports update. A tough week of football for our Vanderbilt Commodores as they lost 13-6 to the Florida Gators and fell to 0-2 in conference play. The Commodores look to bounce back from their loss against the Gators in their game next week against Kentucky. Kickoff is scheduled at 3 p.m. on Saturday afternoon in Lexington. Turning to women's soccer, freshman standout Kaylin Boyd scored the game-winning goal in double overtime in what was a competitive game against the University of Tennessee. She was named SEC Freshman Player of the Week. The Doors travel to Arkansas this Thursday and are currently third place in the SEC. The men's golf team captured the Nike Golf Collegiate Invitational on Tuesday at Colonial Country Club. They edged out Florida to win by 1 shot. Have you ever wondered what it's like to live as a football player at Vanderbilt? VTV News reporter Lindy McIntyre has the story.
Only 6% of students are athletes at Vanderbilt. That means 94% of us cannot fathom the stress and struggle student athletes go through to play their sport while also balancing academics and other extracurriculars. Junior football player Nephi Leilau gave VTV a little insight on what it means to be a student athlete at Vanderbilt.
Most of these days start around 5:30, and go through practice, film, lifts, school. Come back for meetings later that night around 6:30, and then get around bed around 9:30, 10 o'clock, and do it all over again. I think at some schools there's a bunch of preconceived notions that are like negative about student athletes in terms of how privileged they are and how they get a lot of things that regular students don't. Whereas as far as like here, there are aspects that are a lot different, for Vanderbilt student athletes. There are really no prioritized registration periods, no priority housing. We don't receive any above privileges rather than the regular student. I think the main reason I play this game is, the band of brothers I always have on the field every, Saturday. So I think for me, it's the family atmosphere about the whole thing.
That was Nephi Leilau on Vanderbilt football. I'm Lindy McIntyre, and have a great night.
That is all for this week's sports update. For more information about Vanderbilt sports, go to vucommodore.com. For VTV News, I'm Andrew Sundaram.
Thanks, Andrew. Now for this week's weather, here's VTV News weather correspondent Swathi Ganesh.
Good evening. I'm Swathi Ganesh here with your weekly weather update. This week, the weather has been warming up a bit as temperatures reach the upper 80s with lows in the upper 50s. However, this weekend and on into next week, we can expect a slight cool down again as temperatures dip down into the mid 70s and lower 80s with the lows in the 50s to give us some nice, pleasant weather. Fortunately, you won't need to worry about any rain ruining this beautiful weather as there is little to no chance of precipitation predicted in the next week. With VTV News, I'm Swathi Ganesh.
That's all for tonight's broadcast. Thanks for watching VTV News. I'm Sophie Jeong.
And I'm Randle. Tune in next week for more top stories.